No one fucking cares about the disclaimer, Vale. Just get on with the video, you filthy jizz trumpet. Going commando, locked and loaded. Full frontal assault, Q-force. Into the Nexus, Nexus. Seriously? You have to scroll through the terms of service every time you boot up bracket into the end bracket Nexus, which is borderline unnecessary as this game doesn't have any online features to speak of. Mandatory install times, yada yada, someone's gonna take one for the team. There's only one save slot. If you don't look at explosions, you're not cool. Explosions are fucking sick, dude. Why wouldn't you want to look at one?
We must have picked up some Terra tropes when we flew through the asteroid belt. What do you think?
James Arnold Taylor isn't being in a Club Penguin Christmas special, annoyingly titled We Wish You Were Merry Walrus, in this scene. Ratchet keeps a Captain Quark figurine, a Groovatron, and the photo they took at the end of All for One in his toolbox, and yet only has 1 or 2 actual tools. Ratchet also lets these items float away without a second thought. I guess that photo has no sentimental value to him anymore?
Hey, Ratchet! I can't breathe! No oxygen!
Wait a minute, that's not Tara Strong. No, I'm not saying it.
We will deliver the prisoner to the Vartex Detention Center in approximately 2 hours.
Then you'd better take her out of cryosleep now. The faster you turn her over to the Vartex guards, the better.
Probably better to risk spending time with the Vartex guards than dealing with whatever the hell Vendra can do.
She's cold and empty in a way I've never seen.
Excuse me? I identify as a he.
Deactivating cryosleep on prisoner 9971. Error. Power fluctuation detected. Power fluctuation detected.
Of course. Look up and down at things to demonstrate camera movement cliché. How is Ratchet's helmet keeping any air in? It looks like it would all come seeping out of the bottom, causing the big head cheat to become permanently active.
You're hacking the wrong system! That's the thermodynamic propulsion matrix!
You were already hacking into the thruster systems, how did you end up on the thermodynamic propulsion matrix? Wow, those are some big words. Also, Kronk's doing a pretty good job hacking considering he and Zephyr are prone to forgetting who and where they are at times.
Going down!
What a conveniently located mag surface.
I think these maintenance bots are sleeping. Wake them up!
Is it me, or have the past couple of games had this weird vendetta against cleaning and maintenance bots? Poor guys, they should form a union.
Stay where we can see you, Vendra. We're just here for the proton field.
She doesn't exactly have anywhere else to go.
Hey, I see you found a piece of the hollow plan for the Rhino 7. Oh, it's a little project of mine.
In the past couple of games, the Rhino was a top-secret Gadgetron/Grummelnet/Megacorp weapon, usually split up in pieces to prevent it falling into the wrong hands. Here? Oh, you know, it's just a hobby the plumber picked up to get through a midlife crisis.
Sir, we are within striking distance of the Nebulorks.
Even Ratchet and Clank games can't help but to have you shooting at thickly accented Russians.
Fire Omni rockets on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Whoops, wrong button.
And there is your proof that Ratchet and Clank takes place in the future. If Wang Chung doesn't confirm this, then what will? I mean, I guess there was the Trollolo song in Full Frontal Assault, but I was more worried about the sync counter at the time. Either way, there's your goddamn proof. Also, Wang Chung. Also, the biggest button on the console plays Wang Chung instead of firing weapons. Also, there's supposed to be 2 buttons at the top of the console, but here there's only 1. The smaller button might not be visible, but the smaller button was also on the right side, where the big button appears to be. Ratchet didn't notice this massive fleet of ships heading straight for his ship until they're practically tickling his whiskers.
We're under attack! It's left in Prague! It looks like he's hired Thugs for Less!
Thugs for Less is still running after the Thug leader's pitiful defeat. They've also hired Russians, apparently. Trying to get a stealth kill doesn't work when you start sprinting towards your target, Ratchet. Was there any point to hiding Kronk and Zephyr up there other than for a dramatic reveal of their capture? I mean, it's cool in a narrative sense that Kronk and Zephyr are killed off, and it's not like it's a Disney death where they actually survived, but anyone else just kind of find their death to be anticlimactic? Sure, it helps set up a reason for Nefton to consider turning himself and Vendra in later on, but still, to happen at the start of the game like this is a bit of a waste. Wow, I can hear those explosions pretty well considering I'm in space. Having said all of this so far though, this is a pretty cool opening level, packed with plenty of spectacle and enough driving force to keep the player going. Plus, this game looks gorgeous, even though we're locked at 30 FPS, but as some of you already know, I couldn't care less. Insomniac still got it. Ratchet got inside one of their ships without any sort of alarm going off? Do ships in this universe just not have that kind of technology? Why are they dropping off their shipment here, especially considering these containers are only filled with giant packing peanuts?
We lost them. We lost Kronk and Zephyr.
You lost them?
Talmon's probably thinking that joke she made about suffocating in space isn't as funny now, huh?
Listen to me. Come back to Meridian City.
Tal...
Please. You and Clank. You're all I have left now.
Ship tease.
Yeah, great. Earthquakes.
Earthquakes caused by some pink supernatural shit, which Ratchet apparently didn't see.
Pollux is the one you need.
No one leaves until the you-know-what has been completed.
You know, there's not exactly anyone left on this haunted planet, so there's no need to play the pronoun game with me.
I'll have to show you how to use it. It's a bit complicated for you primitive types.
Point and shoot is literally one of the most basic and primitive concepts a living organism can handle. Cool, but where's the soothing elevator music coming from?
Shortest route is through the sewers.
Copy that. Thanks, Tal.
I am surprised you are so quick to hop into a sewer.
Remember, Clank, Ratchet spent a lot of time picking up amoeboid shit in the sewers of Aquatos. He's probably used to it by now.
Oh boy, I think this place may have a slight cerathoid infestation.
Terrachnoid, amoeboid, cerathoid, tyrannoid. Why they all gotta have the oid suffix? What next? The voidonoids? The cheeky aliens that like to ruin pizzas?
It's just this pet project I had back at the office. Certainly nothing illegal, just a tiny, insignificant trans-dimensional portal device.
What sort of trans-dimensional portal device?
As if trans-dimensional portal devices are common to the point where Clank can ask this question so casually.
Yeah, what's going on down there?
I'm hosting my book club. You want to join?
No. As you were.
Har har, the thug's a dumb bitch, but still Pollux would probably get in trouble for hosting a book club when he should be working on the portal doohickey.
Your upgraded spotlight uses irradiated particles to detect them.
Irradiated particles? Is that safe?
Oh, don't worry. I'm perfectly safe as long as I stand far, far away from your incredibly radioactive body.
Assuming Clank is now radioactive, he should be causing major damage to the skin and tissue on Ratchet's back. Also, I now have Imagine Dragons stuck in my head. And it's not Warriors. Bad game for making me remember how shitty Imagine Dragons are. We interrupt this video game to bring you Thank you, Insomniac, for making Clank sequences short and sweet this time around. If we can't have the timepad puzzles from a Kraken time bag, I'll happily take these instead.
He's sleeping. You walk over there and smack him.
How the heck is Pollux seeing this? Let's assume Clank has, I don't know, cameras in his eyes that can wirelessly transmit a live feed or something. Would a live feed really be able to make it back to another reality?
Mural orphanage. Bunch of creeps and bullies.
Russian enemies and now audio logs. We interrupt this video game to bring you every AAA shooter ever made. Who the fuck puts an orphanage on the side of a cliff? And if this area was originally not a cliff, then why is there a game of hopscotch that leads directly off of it? Who drew this?
They built their own Dimensionator?
Probably would have been significantly easier to steal their own Dimensionator. I mean, they broke into Pollux Industries pretty easily, a museum should be nothing. Ratchet even proves it later on.
No. No one knows about Planet Silos. The city's been abandoned for decades. We saw to that.
Decades? How old is Vendra? She looks like a spring chicken. Character isn't looking where they're going and almost steps right off a ledge cliche. Fun fact, air is made out of solid adamantium, and not even the most powerful temporal repulsor can burst through it. We interrupt this video game to bring you Mass Effect. I failed the Winterizer. It sucks because it has ammo. Please understand, it's not as cool as the Sheepinator. Fuck you, this thing kicks ass. -1 sin. Didn't we just fight you about half an hour ago?
Thanks for less, Corporate HQ. We'd like to remind you that if you're not participating in today's event, you should be out killing someone.
Meanwhile, hundreds of thugs line the stands to watch a space rat get pummeled to death, and they don't get in trouble. Fuck the Gargathon, dude, it's such a cheap boss. When you're not avoiding its unpredictable breath attacks, you're trying as hard as you can to avoid incoming fire from all directions, and you're bound to get hit by a shot you didn't see coming. I want to rip out its eyes and shove them up my ass so it can get a good look at itself. Because it's shit.
This is a recorded message from Mayor Gumblebrick. A sector-wide evacuation is now in progress. Will the last one out please turn on the Omega Tech defense system? Thank you, and don't forget to mount.
Hey, let's all evacuate the planet, then turn on the defense system that could have helped us in the first place. Brilliant idea. Vendor apparently designed this weapon while she was in preschool, and Grummelnet stole the specs from her, not realizing they already had a perfectly capable weapon that did the exact same thing. You know, the buzz blades. And since when the fuck could Clank fly? Someone needs to teach Insomniac what consistency means.
Cal, come in. We need to get through the Weeblesnog waterworks, but the place is flooded.
Weeblesnog?
It ain't just any furball. This is Ratchet. He ain't stocked in nefarious with nothing but a sonic eruptor.
Back up, buddy. I think you missed a big chunk out of those subtitles there. Here's an idea. Try fitting your gunships with some sort of actual weaponry. Aside from whatever the fuck this is that Ratchet can just easily jump over.
I will hack the relay station.
Clank likely has no idea what he's doing since the screen never changes while he's trying to hack the terminal. This game's better at recycling mini-bosses than I am at actually recycling.
Looks like we'll have to power up those water pumps first.
Activate 3 of something to progress cliche.
They are ghosts from the great beyond. It don't matter what they are. When they cross over, we're all out of work.
Why accept a job that's going to potentially destroy or enslave the world if it's going to put you out of work?
Whew. That was a close one, huh?
We must turn the bolt crank to lower the water.
Can you feel that? Static electricity in the air as a result of constant transdimensional experimentation. See, without a true dimensionator, you can't just punch a hole in the walls of reality. The trick is to wear them thin.
If you're building a replica Dimensionator, shouldn't it do the same thing as a regular Dimensionator instead of just wearing the walls of reality thin?
Thugs, what am I paying you for? Attack!
Yep, send in some mid-wave minions. It's not like I haven't been slaughtering them for the past 2 hours.
But you're supposed to be my friend!
And just like everyone playing this game expected, Mr. I would use Vendra to break into her reality, then discard her like an empty packet of chips. Who didn't see this coming?
I can't hold them off forever. Go! That teleporter will get you back to your ship.
Convenient teleporter is convenient.
I did see an M-class Star Cruiser land just beyond the ridge there. But the path is blocked by space debris. You're gonna need some hover boots to get past.
Senor Plot Convenience strikes again. Ratchet lands on a planet, ends up spending a little too much time hunting for some sort of collectible, and trades said collectible for an item that will allow him to reach his destination, which could have been easily accessed by simply flying his ship over there. Sound familiar?
This Gadgetron container appears to be made of pure raritanium. I wonder what is hidden inside.
Despite the fact that we can clearly hear who's inside there. I couldn't be bothered trying to open it again because my game glitched out and denied me of the final Gargathon horn needed to get the last key to open the vault. Rest in peace, plumber, you fat sack of shit.
Little Zircon does not need votes. He is given an allowance of carnage.
I know I'm not kind to Mr. Zircon, but the Zircon family is just too adorable not to knock us in off. Battery bots only appear when activating these bolt cranks and mysteriously disappear otherwise.
Let's get inside before someone sees us.
Who exactly? You're out in the sticks and the Nethers probably have very little interest in chasing you.
You want us to steal the Dimensionator?
Steal, liberate, call it whatever you like, but yes, it's stealing.
Report this to the authorities, have them temporarily hand over the Dimensionator. Ratchet probably doesn't need to steal it.
Can you imagine seeing your kind right there, close enough to touch, but impossible to reach?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Have you ever wanted something so badly that everything else just fades away?
Yes.
Nefton is very good at spurting dialogue that makes Ratchet sympathize him and reminds him of his entire race being cut off from him.
Deal.
And Ratchet never fired an Omni Blaster again.
Head back to Meridian City and call a state of emergency. Have everyone seal themselves into their homes. I'm working on a plan.
What plan?
It's in progress, but we'll be in touch.
Save yourselves the time and tell her the plan. Having a jetpack is a pretty standard thing in games nowadays, but I really like Into the Nexus implementation of the jetpack. By binding it to L2, you can get near perfect control over the jetpack, allowing for quick ascent, descent, and even maintaining altitude by holding it halfway. It's a shame that this didn't get used more often, but at least they were smart enough to chuck it in the reboot. I don't know whether the hoverboots control identically to the ones in A Crack in Time or not, but they control fine, that's not the issue here. The issue is the placement of the ramps you fling yourself off of. Some ramps will cause you to overshoot your jump, which means you either have to turn your boots off and line yourself up again, or you fall to your death.
Hey, see, my bird and I got into an argument about the division of profits. I don't suppose you'd help me look for him, would you?
Sure, I'd be happy to look for him. for a few bolts.
Haha, it looks better than the cutscenes in the reboot, that's for sure, but in a 3-hour game, doesn't using Skyrim or Fallout-style auto lip-syncing come across as a little unnecessary?
You might remember Ratchet from just a few hours ago, when you helped Neptune inventor Prog murder his friends and break out of a mobile prison ship.
A few hours? In game time, sure, but can you really travel between several planets that quickly? Bite me!
It's like a whole new weapon, ain't it?
Oh, I didn't realize I was upgrading my penis. Stuart Zergo has absolutely no right to have his face displayed alongside Dr. Nefarious.
I've been trying to shut down the security system, but Captain Quark forgot the code.
Talman and Quark already seem to know Ratchet's plan, despite Ratchet not having told them yet. The rest of the museum must be accessed by quickly running up the back of a troglosaur and navigating through the ventilation shaft, which must be extremely inconvenient for regular museum goers.
Grav leap onto any planet to begin the experience.
This exhibit assumes that everyone can grav leap in the first place.
This device targets organic matter and transmogrifies it into robotic form.
Why would a museum have this?
Ratchet would be good at gaming sins.
Here stands the heroic figure of Dan Johnson. Mr. Johnson once lived on a primitive planet called Earth, where he mixed techno music, raised cats, and discovered the often overlooked secret of enjoying life. Go outside, meet friends, and share their company while consuming delicious food and a sparkling beverage.
Why would a statue of a man from Earth be in a museum like this? What, you thought I was actually going to sin that? You thought I'd sin the legend that is Dan Johnson? Shame on you. A sin off for even thinking that. The Hall of Villainy only houses exhibits of villains that were defeated by Ratchet and Clank.
Neftin, I have the Dimensionator.
Yeah, nice security system. There are a couple of blade thingies and time platforming segments. There's really not much to sin here in the final level, so I want to talk about the weapons, because they fucking nailed the weapon selection here. Until now, there hasn't been a single Ratchet and Clank game where I've actually used every weapon available, because some of them were stinkers, let's be honest. Here, every single weapon is useful, even the Omni Blaster and Fusion Grenade, which deal at least a reasonable amount of damage. The Plasma Striker slows down time while you aim, the Temporal Repulsor has an amazingly satisfying kick to it, and the Nether Beast have the coolest friggin' design, my dude. A small roster of useful weapons is better than a large roster with some useless weapons, in my opinion. Minus 10 dingy boys. Okay, here's the thing though, this doesn't feel much like a final boss. It feels more like the boss at the end of the third act before the story evolved and became something more interesting via means of a twist or revelation. But nope, this is a final boss. The end of the game. You get 6 levels, one of which is an arena and another of which is just an open area with collectibles, which is a real downer considering this is supposed to be the end of the future saga. I love Into the Nexus, but I think I like it for its core gameplay and for its unique supernatural atmosphere compared to the other games rather than anything else. Weak story, about 3 different types of enemies, and to top it off, this game is shorter than my scheduled alone time on a Friday night. Oh, how it hurts me to say this, but I have to add 50 since I'm sorry, my love. Was Vendra actually necessary here? All she's doing is pulling Mr. I back into the Netherverse. You could have done that with a ship's tether or a tractor beam or something.
Is that the Dimensionator?
Nope, just a random oversized mechanical hat.
You know, I just can't catch a break.
Ah, depression.
If the Dimensionator was functional, would you use it?
To find the Lombaxes? I don't know. There was a time I would have said yes, but at this point, there's more for me here than over there.
If this isn't the biggest ship tease, then I don't know what is, even though these two have as much chemistry as a wet paper bag and a ham sandwich. Robot ghosts.
Come on, let's go see some of those Fem droids down at the robot graveyard.
Does this count as necrophilia? I know Insomniac Games needed to wrap up some loose ends left by a crack in time, and people wanted the series to return to its classic platforming roots after the ungodly, atrocious, sin-counter fuck-upping taste Full Frontal Assault left behind. But considering a crack in time felt as perfect an ending to a story as you could have gotten, was anybody really asking for a 4th game in the series? What the fuck are those light blue chrome hover boots Ratchet has? What is this shit design? Weren't they his father's? What the fuck? Insomniac were charging $40 for a 5-hour game. Cool.
Come on.
Let's go see some of those trim droids down at the robot graveyard.
Should I ask, how would a robot have sex, or how would a ghost have sex? There was a pre-order bonus for Into the Nexus in which you got some red armor, which was crap. In fact, let's add another sin for the unskippable credits, especially for people like me who do New Game Plus to get trophies. This game is supposed to have a creepier theme and tone overall, which IMO the game does fantastically. That is until you buy the Winterizer. Sure, let's just use a weapon that freezes enemies into snowmen and plays cute Christmas music while the galaxy is being terrorized by creepy nether creatures from an alternate dimension. Into the Nexus plot originally stated that Ratchet would have to make a choice about what's really important, but the official plot turned out to not be about that at all, instead revolving around Vendra's desire to be with her family. Ratchet then ends up making that choice at the end of the game supposedly, with nothing that happened actually influencing that. If you haven't gotten the infobot from Yurik for Destructopalooza, then when you've finished hacking the terminal on Psylocke, Ratchet will ask Talwyn if she has any ideas where to look for an aviation device, and she will tell them about Destructopalooza. However, you still have to go and get the infobot. When Ratchet lands on the arena planet, a poor Thugs for Less member gets kicked out of the stadium and is buried in the sand where you land. If you visit the arena multiple times, the same thing happens. Either this guy keeps losing battles or people just really hate him. Remove a sin for the Rhino 7 playing Night on Bald Mountain. The tour bot for the museum informs you that both Kronk and Zephyr are dead. In order for that bot to know that, it either had to A. install information while it was offline and Ratchet was talking about their deaths, B. have another bot exactly like it on the ship when it exploded and it somehow gave info to the other models while that happened, or C. knew about it the whole time and was being a complete dick. How the fuck is only Ratchet, Clank, Kronk and Zephyr the only ones in charge of guarding a big-ass prison ship? Couldn't the galactic government dispatch more soldiers to help? After all, aren't they transporting one of the most dangerous and powerful villains in the galaxy? You might as well call Into the Nexus. We get it! Ratchet and Clank 1, 2, 3, Deadlock, Tools of Destruction, Crack in Time, All for One, Full Frontal Assault was a thing! The game.
All this oil just for me? That's the stuff.
So fortunate in my life to have so many people that I love so much. You make sacrifices all the time, and you put off things that you want to do, and you put off adventures. You put it off because the best adventure is being together, and then that person leaves, and...
Oh fuck, I forgot to record the shout out. Shit, go watch Steve of War. Awesome dude, funny, fast, snappy editing, pacing, love it. Go watch his top 10 weird video games or his Resident Evil DLC reviews. Fun time, cool guy, link in the heckin' description. Also, please stay tuned for an update video coming out in the next week or two, which will tell you guys what I plan on doing once I finish up with everything wrong with Ratchet and Clank. If you planned on unsubscribing once I was done with the series, I suggest watching that video when it comes out. Also, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord server, and all that baloney to keep up to date with all my goings on. Thanks for watching, and sorry for the rush job for the outro, lol.